We're live.
Hello.
We're
Happy
live.
Tuesday.
So to answer your question, Sarah, I had, when I was about, I don't know, 10, 11, I had one video cassette tape of a Star Wars movie. It was Return of the Jedi. I'm not sure it was obtained legally. I can't remember. Back then, piracy was already a problem, probably. I mean, I'm sure I did have it legally, but whatever. I watched it basically every day for, I guess, 2 years. But I only had that one. I didn't have the other two. So I know that one really well and I loved it. But yeah, it was a weird relationship I had with the trilogy.
I mean,
then.
you know, the thing with Star Wars I have and fans is the same thing I have. I'm totally gonna put myself out on a huge bonfire here. Is that the same thing that I have with Elvis and Elvis fans? I like Elvis's music. I'm not, you know, I don't have a special hallowed place, you know, in my home or.
Have you been to Graceland?
I never felt compelled to go to Graceland. I made the trek out to the Yoda fountain in the Presidio, but that's
Star Wars are like really hard to compare, though. But I know what you're saying.
It's like, well, okay, Kiss fans.
Yeah.
What? Okay, let's get closer to Star Wars.
There's a point where it gets kind of ridiculous. I can totally understand dressing up as like a Jedi for Halloween or Comic-Con, but like not everything in your life and everything your life revolves around is Star Wars.
Well, to Patrick's point, Return of the Jedi is the first movie I remember seeing in a theater as a kid. I remember A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, but it's like I obviously saw them on VHS later on because I was too little.
I remember watching the first. I remember watching A New Hope, and all I remember is the smell of butter, popcorn, and a sticky floor.
So, Russell, if I may, sorry to interrupt the Star Wars speculation. To introduce you as reporter for The Verge, or do you have another title?
Senior reporter.
Senior report. Got it. Glad I asked.
Senior reporter. All right.
Older than I look.
Perfect. All right. We ready?
Ready.
I was born ready.
Of course you were.
Yeah.
Here we go. 3, 2.
Hello, all you beautiful people. The Daily Tech News Show is brought to you by you. You can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com. And we thank you for your support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, December 19th, 2017, from DTNS headquarters in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline at the Beach, I'm Sarah Lane.
And from the Finnish offices in Helsinki, I'm Patrick Beja.
And we're very happy to have joining us today, senior reporter from The Verge, Russell Brandom. Russell, thanks for joining us.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure.
Russell wrote an excellent column about what the way I think of it is the state of the internet that we're going to use to kick off a conversation a little later. Producer Roger Chang, you are here as well.
Yes, I'm here. I'm defending myself for maybe not being too enthusiastic about the Solo movies.
Oh, boy. You just had to bring that into this show, didn't you? All right. We'll get back to that in the post show, but let's start with a few tech things you should know.
Arena of Valor is one of the most popular games in China with 200 million registered players and more than 80 million daily active users. Tencent, which makes the game, is formally launching Arena of Valor worldwide today, December 19th, starting in North and South America. Although, Patrick, you said you've had it in France already.
It's been available in Europe for a few months now. I did download it. I didn't play it, though. But yeah, it's pretty popular. Pretty popular. U.S. Homeland Security Advisor Tom Bossert says North Korea was responsible for the WannaCry attack that affected banks, hospitals, and other companies earlier this year. Bossert said the U.S. had a very high level of confidence that the Lazarus Group, working on behalf of North Korea, carried out the attack. Lazarus Group is also believed to be responsible for the 2014 attack on Sony Pictures Entertainment.
Facebook announced that its VR chat app Spaces will be able to run on HTC Vive headsets now. So if you're a user of the Oculus Rift or the HTC Vive, you can reach across the aisle virtually inside of Facebook Spaces and chat, watch videos, draw, play games, even go on virtual trips together.
Apple confirmed that Amazon's Prime Video app was the most downloaded app on tvOS ever in its first week of availability. Apple did not disclose how many times that app has been downloaded from the Apple TV App Store that led to these record-breaking numbers, but says that they did. Also didn't say if they had shared those numbers with Amazon.
Yeah, we'll tell them. Amazon, you're doing great. Here you go. Now here are some more top stories. Kick us off, Patrick.
France is banning mobile phones from elementary and junior high schools starting in September. The decision follows a campaign promise by President Macron and seems to be drawing consensus from the public. The practical details aren't set, however, and authorities are considering the best way to implement the ban. Lockers and other methods are being reviewed.
I liked your interview with Nate Langston about this on text message this weekend, because it probably sounds a little crazy to some people, but I think what you were good at explaining was they're just saying you can't use them in class, and how they're going to enforce that is kind of still yet to be determined, huh?
Yeah, it's definitely the more, not even controversial, but the part that we're not quite sure about yet, and it might be a very important one. But the way some of my friends put it was, well, you wouldn't let a kid bring a television in school. So this is really the same category. So it does kind of make sense.
I mean, televisions are bigger, though. That's just real hard for her to bring them in.
That is true. And it's also important to specify that, yeah, from high school on, you're okay. So if you're, 16, we consider that you're, adult enough to make responsible use of your entertainment computer in your pocket.
And
so
it's just in class, right? They're not stopping kids from using them in between classes.
No, they are. They're saying, well, you cannot use them at all unless it's an emergency.
So that's the part that is not entirely 100% confirmed, because there are some, who are saying, well, if I need to reach my kid between classes, then they need to reach me, we might need them to have access to the phone, but then maybe it's going to be a lot less practical if you need to, put it in a locker, then take it out between each class, especially since you move classes all the time. So there are still some pretty important bits that are left to be determined.
Chrome's built-in ad blocker will start blocking ads on sites with non-compliant ads starting on February 15th. They announced they were going to do this, but now we have the date. If you remember, full-page ad interstitials, ads that unexpectedly play sound, flashing ads, those are examples of ad units that will trigger the block if sites do not remove the offending ads after a warning. So you don't get blocked right away. You get a warning. You get a chance to appeal and say, no, we took them off. But if you get warned more than once, they can just shut you down with the ad blocker. Google now also has an app in the Windows Store that simply opens the default browser to a page where someone can download Chrome. Because if Chrome were to be in the Windows Store, they'd have to use the Microsoft engine rather than the Blink engine. So this is, on the one hand, they're saying screw you to advertisers. On the other hand, screw you to Microsoft. It's a good day for Chrome all around.
So has anyone been using the beta version? I think it's already in the Canary, is it, version? No, that's Firefox.
No, I think Canary, isn't that right?
Oh, is it Canary? Okay. I don't use betas for browsers. But I'm wondering how, extensive the blocking is. Is it like, certainly it's not like an ad blocker, a third-party ad blocker.
No, it's only for abusive sites, so you're probably rarely going to notice it.
Right, exactly. So it's not going to remove ads from your most of the web pages.
No, exactly.
Or if they do, I'm guessing those pages editors are going to make sure they use the right ads.
Well, that's the idea, is they've got a system where you can go and find out, how not to run afoul of this. So I think there's a lot of anxiety about it because people were worried they'll fall afoul of it accidentally or this or that. I don't know if any of you guys think this is worse than it is, but I feel like it's almost a watered down version of ad blocker, which is more of not a malware blocker, but an adware blocker, something that's just going to try to defend you against the worst abuses.
So it's got to serve its purpose, I think. If it steers the web in the quote unquote right direction of non-abusive ads, then all of those definitions need to be, can be discussed. But on the principle of it, it could be doing its job.
I think the worries are, though, with Chrome having the market preponderance that it does, especially in parts of the world like Europe, whether it's scary for them to be telling people what kinds of ads they can show on the internet.
Well, I'm okay with Google telling the world what it has to do. And that's going to tie into our next conversation in the discussion.
Save that one.
Moving on, Facebook, another day, another Facebook story. Facebook will now notify users when its facial recognition technology detects a picture of the user that's been uploaded by a friend or even a friend of a friend. The company will also start alerting users if anybody puts a picture of them in a profile photo to help deter impersonation. So somebody impersonating you and using your photo. Facebook is also adding a new system to detect when blocked users start a new account in order to contact a person who does not want to be contacted. That last one, I'm like, well, all right. Probably a good idea. If somebody blocks me, I shouldn't be able to stalk them. But how would Facebook know?
It's doing things like looking at IP
get an email address associated with a new account. Yeah,
it's looking at things like IP address and sort of using a little bit. They don't know that they say it's machine learning, but they're trying to build a sort of a profile to say it's likely that this is the same person who was trying to contact you before because they're coming from the exact same IP address or something like that.
Hmm. I'm also wondering, they're saying that they will alert a user who puts a picture of them in their profile photo. I can't speak today. That's basically any user, right? I can understand how facial recognition is going to work for friends or friends of friends because that's a limited set of people. But if it can be anyone trying to impersonate you, surely their algorithms are going to think that some people who aren't you, some photos that aren't photos of you are photos of you. And I'm wondering how that is going to work. That's the one that got me puzzled.
Well, I mean, if it knows it's you, if it thinks it's you, and they're better at this than ever before, then wouldn't you want to know, like, hey, somebody put a profile picture up. We think it's you. You might want to check that out.
But
as somebody I've had people use photos of mine for accounts. I don't know why, but they have that somebody has brought to my attention over time. But if Facebook were to email me and be like, "Is this you?" and it wasn't, I'd be like, "No." But I'd be happy that at least they're,
But I guess my point is they have like 2 billion users now. Surely there is more than one person that looks like me in the world in those 2 billion people that the machine learning algorithm is going to say, well, that might be you. Out of a small subset of, my friends and family, it can determine that it's me with confidence. But out of 2 billion people, I wonder if I'm going to be showered with, lots of people who are.
Yeah, you'll probably get like George Clooney and, Mark Wahlberg and
alive. Bummer.
You get that all the time. I know. So
it's so annoying. Thank you, Tom, for pointing that out. And in the Journal of Science, a group of researchers from University of Tokyo describes a hard glass-like polymer that can heal itself with heat of 21 degrees Celsius, 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and a mild hand pressure. If it's practical outside the lab, the hope is that it could be used for self-healing screens that you can gently massage with a little bit of heat.
You just kind of, palm press them or just maybe like finger press, unless you have cold fingers like I do. I don't think my fingers could do it today, but just the heat of your hand can heal your screen. The laying on of hands.
Tom, if only we could.
As a shattered iPhone screen?
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah, I thought you might.
All these years, people are like, just put a case on your phone. I'm like, I don't want to. I'm just going to wait for the self-healing.
This is the dream, right? We'll see if it makes it out of the lab this time. We've heard about it before, but this one sounds really promising to me. Any bets?
Nope.
You're just like, nope, we want to bet, or no, it's not making it out of the lab?
No, I don't want to bet because I'll render a great service to the community, the tech community at large. I will say that it will not make it out of the lab, just so reality can contradict me and actually make it work. You're welcome, community.
There we go. The LG Styler is a thing that you probably have never heard about, but it comes in larger sizes, and I'm fascinated with how possibly bad this thing is. It's a closet. The new one can now store up to 6 pieces of clothing and uses steam to get rid of wrinkles and odors. So it's really not for storage. It's more like a big stand-up dry cleaner. Well, not dry cleaner because it's using steam cleaner. LG says it can eliminate 99% of allergens and bacteria. Previous version, they were only talking about allergens. Now they're talking about bacteria. A pants crease care compartment can store pants up to 48 inches at the waist and leave a nice smart crease in your pants. There's an Android app that can scan your clothes that have NFC tags. Not that any of my clothes have NFC tags, but if they do, it can decide which cleaning function to use because there's lots of different options. The previous styler sold for around $1,800. It did not get great reviews. It was okay with wrinkles. It didn't seem to be very good at all about getting out odors. And there's no price or release date on this new larger one. But we talk about smart fridges and how disappointing they are from year to year over the decades. I felt like steam closets probably deserved a little attention today because I bet we're going to see this at CES.
Well, the thing about smart refrigerators is like there's a tablet, but my refrigerator is still just keeping things cold. Like the idea of this is like it replaces a dry cleaner, right? Or it, keeps you from having to iron your clothes. And for people who, I don't know, care about their appearance, that's great. Yes, $1,800 is very expensive, but if the price comes down and it gets better, I would totally do this.
And the target market seems to be hotels and airports and rich people. It's not something they expect everybody to go out and pick one up. But the idea is, luxury hotel or maybe airport lounges, the airline lounges might offer this as a service to get your stuff steamed up on a long trip. So I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm French, so I automatically get like a couple of extra points for style. I'm not sure that is the kind of thing you need if you want to be stylish. The LG Styler is not the answer. I don't think so.
I was glad you went to the style part of this story, not the odor part of this story.
Let's move on, Tom. Let's move on.
But before we do, Russell, real quickly, just I want to get your opinion on the styler. Is that something you would use?
I mean, there's no substitute for hanging things to dry, to get out the wrinkles. I feel like the old ways are best sometimes.
Yeah, you just do this in the shower though, and it pretty much is the same thing.
Yeah.
Get the thing all steamed up. Hey, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. You can get it on the Amazon Echo as a flash briefing, on the Google Home, on the Anchor app, and of course as a podcast at dailytechheadlines.com. So let's get to Russell's article. We have abandoned every principle of the free and open internet is the title. It's on the Verge right now. I highly recommend you go read it. I think the title kind of undersells it. Russell, I looked at it as sort of a section by section discussion of the state of the internet. How would you describe your column here?
Yeah, it's funny. I think because of sort of what's happened in the last couple of weeks, a lot of the people I've seen on Twitter and in the comments have looked at it as sort of a net neutrality thing, and that's certainly part of it. But I think a lot of it is also there's this assumption of how we want platforms and web services to sort of behave that is starting to break down, and we don't really know what to do with it. And so part of that is anonymity, and also how is moderation going to work? Is it, if you're running, one of the things I was really shocked by this year that I think was legitimately a shift in how providers behave is, if for a long time, Cloudflare was one of the big ones, but I think across the board, if you're doing web provider services and someone is using your service to say sort of hateful and socially destructive things, I think a lot of people before now, if you'd asked them a year ago, would have said, look, that's unfortunate, but fight speech with more speech. Like, I think they're not using this to, all they're using this to do is broadcast hateful ideas and the marketplace of ideas can take care of that. And now it's really like, no, you're responsible for, I mean, I think certainly after Charlottesville, we saw a lot of people saying, like, you're responsible for spreading this ideology if you're providing services to these people that helps them some sort of spread this. I think anonymity is something that I have been thinking about personally for a long time, because I like the anonymous web. I mean, I think I really found it to be a meaningful thing in my life. And I think it's kind of over. I mean, it's sad to say it, but I don't think there are going to be a lot of places you can go online and be really robustly anonymous anymore. And so a lot of it kind of fits together in ways that I really only teased out when I was writing the piece, but it's all sort of one big pill.
Well, because it used to be that you would think of the internet as you describe, as a collection of networks, no one really predominant over the other. And so the idea of you're responsible just didn't really fit, because there was no company as big as Google. There was no company as big as Facebook that had control. So the centralization, I think, is the key theme that you teased out here. The centralization causes people to point at companies and say, you need to do something about this because you can. And the centralization is a reason that we lose the anonymity, because Facebook from the beginning said, forget it. You're using your real name, and that has repercussions because they've gotten so large.
Yeah, and then I think, we see this all the time, I think, particularly on the app side, where mobile brought in all of these essentially walled gardens, where if you want to read an article on your phone, probably you're doing that in a browser pop-up within the Facebook app or the Twitter app or the Feedly app, but you're probably not using sort of mobile Safari in its native form. And then those apps, maybe you got it from a third-party app store that you had authorized through Android, although as a security writer, I'm not sure I would recommend that. But probably you got it through a very controlled marketplace that is being operated by either Apple or Google, and they're controlling what goes in there, and they're looking at, and also if something's in there, it implicitly has their stamp of approval.
So I looked at this and immediately started thinking about decentralization and the open infrastructure and our loss of that. We haven't lost it entirely, but it's definitely been eroded as sort of the base thing. That's what causes the net neutrality fears. That's what causes ISPs to be able to do things that you don't like. That's what causes big companies to be able to do things, because they can say, well, we're the place that's going to store all your data, so you got to follow our rules. And I looked around, and there are amazing projects out there that I don't think a lot of people realize exist that are trying to fight against this. I've got a list of them. I'm not going to go through the list. We may pull some examples out as we talk, but just a couple of examples. Tim Berners-Lee and MIT are working on something called Solid, which would allow you to have a container of your personal data that you could share or revoke access to keep your personal data under your control instead of having it stored. There's things like Storj, STORJ, which is a decentralized cloud storage. There's mesh networks. We talked recently about Motherboard and Vice working on a mesh network in combination with NYC Mesh over in New York City. So there are efforts to route around, as I like to say. The internet always routes around. The question is, have we hit the roadblock this time? Is this the time that things are too centralized and they're too dug in for the internet to get the momentum it needs to be able to route around? Because the technology is there.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's weird for me as like a technology writer who's like excited about the future for a living, right? It's weird for me to say, oh, we need to go back. We need to restore what the internet was in 1996. And I think in some ways the biggest roadblock is people don't want to go back. It would be very hard to recreate the user experience I get from Gmail, where I can store this incredible amount of data and I can have access to it on, the mobile software is great, the web software is great. It would be very difficult to recreate that with a self-hosted open source tool. And so we could build that tool, but fundamentally, like, Google has these advantages, and I think people don't want to give those advantages up. I think the thing for me is we need to figure out what are the new principles that we want to fight for now. Because I think part of what you see in the article is it's not just that we gave up these principles, but that after a certain point, they stopped making as much sense. And you have to just adapt to say, all right, this is where we are now. Like, we're living in these networks that are kind of stitching together these closed gardens, and we can't rely on decentralization to protect people's privacy or to protect people's speech. So what's the new thing that we're going to use? How are we going to protect people's privacies now? How are we going to think about free speech in a world where, we're dealing with hate speech and we're dealing with trolls and we're dealing with like harassment mobs and things like that? How do we need to think about it now? And I do think there are people who are, so in the piece I talk about Jillian C. York, who's a staunch free speech person, and is not someone who says, oh, well, we need to get rid of all the mods, right? Or that Facebook shouldn't be interfering with people speaking on its network. And she has been really good, I think uniquely, in saying, here are the principles that Facebook needs to be thinking about. It's not about not banning people or not moderating people. It's, you need to moderate people in this way. And so I don't know what that looks like for entrepreneurship. I don't know what that looks like for sort of any of the other things laid out, but I think speech is one where people are starting to think about what it looks like.
I think you got two different questions here too. One is, how do you fix Facebook? How do you fix Twitter? How do you fix, right? That,
yeah, I don't know.
that is a question of its own. But then there's also, how do you fix speech on the internet? And that's where it gets really interesting, because what works for Facebook may not be what's best for speech on the internet. One thing that occurs to me just as we're talking is, one of the reasons that attacks and harassment work on Facebook and Twitter is because everybody's there. If I don't know, but I wonder if we didn't have a place that most of the world's internet population was on, if that problem would be the same, if it would be as acute.
Well, and I also think, it gets back to these antitrust questions, where if you'd asked me this 10 years ago, you'd said, oh, look, people have a lot of different approaches to moderation. What's the right one? We would have said, well, we don't know what the right one is, but a lot of people are trying stuff, and whoever gets the best answer, they'll rise to the top. Well, now there's not going to be another Facebook. This is just what Facebook is. And whatever Facebook decides, that's how social networks are going to work, because they're the social network. And the same thing with Google and search engines. Like, you can't really rely on the market to sort of sort through the different solutions and find the best one, because we're past the moment where there was dynamic enough competition for those ideas to filter out.
It's also sort of problematic to me that, we've gotten to a point where Facebook, Twitter, and lots of other services, it's supposedly better. If you're verified, you're who you say you are. We'll scan your photo and make sure it's really you. It's like the whole true you thing is now better than being anonymous, because there's so many problems with people and being anonymous online and behaving badly. Okay, that would be fine if it wasn't also that companies benefit greatly from knowing lots of things about the true you and being able to profit off of that. So, that's not a surprise to any of us, but it's not just about, oh, if you're really yourself, like not wearing a mask in public, it's better. There's, it's a layered situation.
Well, and we continue to see tons of anonymous accounts, right? It's just that it's this very sort of shallow anonymity where if you suddenly have 200 eggs tweeting at you on Twitter, you're not going to like go through doxing them. Whereas if you have a single person who's anonymous, one of the things we mentioned is Ashley Feinberg did all this incredible work to find James Comey's secret Twitter account. Well, that was a good story, but it is kind of scary that if there's a particular person and you say, well, who is this person? You can usually lean on it and research it enough to find it, which is the kind of anonymity we should be trying to preserve. But then the kind of anonymity we have is it's only good if you're sort of doing a drive-by.
Well, I think it's interesting to watch how the pressures will push changes. If the ISPs behave as they do now, I don't think you see a lot of movements of mesh networks coming against them, because there's nothing to motivate them. But if they start to get abusive with practices, you might. Privacy is certainly a place where people are very uncomfortable. And some of these privacy solutions that give you control over privacy might gain some traction, but they still need the companies to accept them. If you can't log into Facebook and Google with these new systems, then they're not going to gain traction either. So something to keep thinking about and keep talking about. And you can carry on those conversations on our subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com, and on our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow. Sarah?
Let's check in with the thing of the day. It's Chris from Amateur Traveler about sharing your hotel Steam doodles with your tablet.
This is Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler with another Tech in Travel Minute. One of the strangest overlaps between technology and travel stories is the one that I saw this week, where Marriott is introducing into one of their hotels, Marriott Hotels Irvine, California, a technology in the shower stall where you can draw your ideas, that great idea that you get in the shower, in the steam on the shower stall, and have that sketch or words saved for you on a tablet that you can then share via email or social media. So if you have that brilliant idea in the shower, you better hope that you're staying at the Marriott Hotels Irvine, California. It's an interesting idea. I'm curious to see how people will react. I'm Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler.
So much tech involving Steam in today's show.
I just want good pillows.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Steam
Marriott.
pillows.
Trying to is everyone sketching stuff in the shower? Is this a problem we need to solve?
Not that I knew of, but maybe. All right, Sarah, let's check the mailbag. What's there?
All right, this one comes from Mohan. This is about a conversation we had yesterday about Volkswagen, VW, installing charge stations for electric cars. Mohan says, got me thinking. These gas stations, oil companies need to start thinking ahead and putting in their own charge stations. They have the infrastructure, they have the money, not to mention the brand name. They just don't want to change and they choose to cling on to the past. It's true. Why aren't there more EV charging stations at gas stations?
Well, because you have to wait. You don't want to hang around the gas station while your car charges.
Well, but you don't want to, you don't want to wait anyway, but the gas station.
You want it at the mall or a place where you can, divert yourself.
But there are charging stations there are old, what do you call them, gas stations at the mall. They could do that.
The problem is there's no money in it right now. Like, they make more money by catering to people who drive internal combustion engines because they're in and out very fast. You can sell them a candy bar or a pack of cigarettes and they're out in like under 10 minutes. If you're charging a car, you're occupying a space and you're not going to make that much off the electricity versus gasoline or diesel. So I think it's a thing of economics.
Yeah.
Like it's not, the money isn't there.
But I wonder if we get to an electric car dominant future, what gas stations end up converting themselves into, because I don't.
Cafe thing, like you're going to be here for a while, have a sandwich.
Yeah.
But they might just start selling replaceable batteries. So you just go in, it's like, for $10, they'll swap out your batteries. You're on your way.
The car's dead. Need a battery.
Yeah. There's a few companies looking at that. Yeah.
Everyone will be able to charge their cars at home. Unless you're on a road trip, then yes, you need a charging station.
Yeah, do the battery swap or fast charging there. Well, Russell, thanks again for joining us today. It was really good talking to you. And once again, I really thought that was a great, great column that you wrote.
Oh, thank you.
Go check out his work at theverge.com. Anything else that you want to tell people about?
No, stay out there fighting for the internet.
And Twitter, you can follow you on Twitter, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah. If they want.
I know that's much more mundane than fighting for the internet, but still.
Come on, Tom. You ruined a wonderful sentiment.
I really did. I'm sorry.
They can follow me on Mastodon. Is really what they
There you go.
Exactly.
Now we'll route around. It's Russell Brandom, 2 S's, 2 L's, and an M on the end if you want to find him.
Thanks also to Patrick Beja coming to us from Finland. Patrick, besides probably some cold weather, what is new with you?
Cold weather, darkness, that is Finland in winter. But aside from that, you can go to frenchspin.com and, for example, subscribe to Pixels, which is a show about video games. We do every couple of weeks. You can do that on your podcasting app, of course. And we have the big end of the year special coming up fairly soon. So if you want to know which games you absolutely have to purchase or play, you can listen to that on Pixels. So go subscribe.
Thank you, folks, for supporting us on Patreon. It is one of the best ways to keep the show going. We have all kinds of ways to support us. dailytechnewsshow.com/support to find all of them. But if you're a Patreon at the associate producer level or above, you get a weekly newsletter, which has a column from me and a bunch of links to all the tech news stories of the week. And I decided as we were talking that this week I'm going to write up a bunch of these different options that people have, these different little projects, so you can go investigate them on your own and find out if there's any that you're interested in trying out. Things like library or IPFS or Nebulous or Storage or the Decode project. So you might want to sign up for that at patreon.com/DTNS.
If you have feedback, questions, comments, anything, our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 21:30 UTC at both alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And our website is, it's a shocker, get ready, dailytechnewsshow.com.
Back tomorrow with Scott Johnson. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Good show, you guys. Thanks again, Russell.
Russell, you
he left.
Thanks again. That was awesome.
Well, I'm sending my thanks out onto the internet.
Goodbye, Russell. We hardly knew you.
Well, just except for the 6 minutes we were talking about his article. But no, it was a great show. Great show.
Yeah, he had himself muted, so I wasn't sure if he wanted to talk during the top stories, so I didn't push it to that last one.
But he had really good insights. In the beginning, I was like, but wait, there's actually this that should, and then he was just saying everything, so I just shut up.
But he said that.
One
exactly.
there, but otherwise, I just want Russell to talk.
Yeah, that was good.
Titles are The Iron, the Stitch, and the Wardrobe, The Broken and Fee Internet, No Cell Phone for You, Hotels, Airports, and Rich People, Don't Worry, Amazon, You're Doing Fine, But Televisions Are Bigger at Face Value, Patrick Sacrifices for Community Benefit, Free Speech, the Internet, and You, Drive-By Anonymity, State of the Web Mess Address, North Korea Wanna Cry, Cloth Mother, Wire Mother, Chrome Mother. Let's see. The death of Jane Doe, John Doe, Internet. This is how anonymity dies, not with a bang, but with a vote.
Kind of long, but good.
A verified society is a polite society. What was the one that I just read that I really liked? The free speech, the internet, and you.
Yeah, that's kind of good.
Yeah, I like that one too. Free speech, the internet, and you.
I like it.
And you.
And you.
And
Walmart.
me.
Why do we keep getting this stuff?
I believe in Crystal Light, and I believe in the free internet.
I believe in you, in me.
Does Crystal Light still exist?
Yes, it does.
Really?
Yeah.
When's the last time we looked, Roger? Because I remember we actually talked about this before.
I say because Jen likes it, so we buy like the packets.
Oh, you're like actively consuming it. Okay. Wow.
Consumes it. I don't. Here, I'll show you.
You're on top of the story here.
Well, it's not a story. It's just because my wife likes it.
I thought maybe we hadn't looked since the last time we talked about it on the show, but you've got packets in your house. That's amazing.
Yeah, they're really skinny now. Like they come in these long, thin packets. So it's let me see if I can. Whoops, where'd it go?
I mean, the whole idea is it's like less sugar or less calories.
It's basically Kool-Aid for adults. What it is.
Got it.
This is what they look like. The individual packets are like that. Oh wait, it doesn't show up. Oh, I have the wrong screen. I have the wrong
I
screen.
saw it just
That's
now.
why. Oh no, different. This one right here.
Ew,
Right here. They
Kristen,
could. You just pour it in, and
Oh, they're like sugar packets, kind of.
yeah. So if you want to get into dance aerobics or whatever, something
to
Verge
add some
Seed,
flavor to your bottle.
legacy name for people who liked Crystal Light.
Crystal Light. And
It's like Tab. You don't see Tab anymore.
Yeah, you do.
Do you?
Mhm.
I don't. Why would they? They
Tab
already
had a
have
comeback.
Diet Coke. Why would they have Tab?
Well, why then? By that same argument, why do they have Diet Pepsi?
Yeah, but Diet Pepsi. What's Pepsi's other Diet Cola beverage?
Oh, you're
Is
saying
it-
because Coca-Cola owns Tab.
It's Tab,
I see.
right?
I know Tab is in other countries.
What about Fanta? Where does Fanta fit in?
is part of Coca-Cola now.
Fanta also for sale in other countries. Yeah, you can buy a 12-pack of Tab Cola for $9.99.
Wasn't Fanta Nazi Coke?
No, they had. So this is the thing. Fanta was around before the Nazis took power.
They had a
but
real branding problem, so they changed it to Fanta. Is that?
No,
They
because
had
I
it-
heard that they didn't want American associated brands, and Coke was very much no. This is the real. Well, I mean, it might be false, but it's a real serious thing. And they started selling Fanta, because Coke was not. But
I
it
always
might not
thought
be true.
Fanta
Roger
was
seems to know.
pre-existing, and they originated as a cola substitute in Germany under World War II for Coca-Cola ingredients.
Yeah, there
All
you
right.
go.
Let's go to Snopes. There is an article. Was Fanta invented by the Nazis? False.
Well, no, that's not what I said.
No. But that's the Snopes article headline.
Okay.
Let's see. What did they say? Fanta was formulated by Coca for the Nazis. The closest to the truth is that Fanta was invented in Germany when the war made it difficult to get Coca-Cola syrup from the U.S. to Germany because of embargoes.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
So it's
So it's not
So it's not
Nazi.
a
You did say Nazi Coke, and it's not.
well.
it's not that.
Well, I mean, obviously it wasn't Nazi Coke, but
it's
it
war
was
Coke.
It's
Basically,
war Coke sold in Germany because you couldn't get Coke because of political
war.
embargoes against the U.S.
No, it's the other way around. According
No
to this,
syrup
anyway.
for you, Germany.
Right.
You get our IBM machines. You
But I
get
mean,
our Fords.
it was basically you can't sell Coke in Germany, so what are we going to do? Well, we're going to do something else to sell so that we can get the German money anyway. So there
Carbonated-
is some measure of.
Oh, here's this part's interesting though. The German government placed Max Keith in charge of Coca-Cola properties in occupied countries and sent word through Coca-Cola bottler in Switzerland that he would try to keep the enterprise alive. But with no means of getting the ingredients, Keith stopped making Coca-Cola and marketed Fanta. Until the end of the war, executives in Atlanta did not know if Keith was working for the company or the government because communication with him was impossible.
Just sort of some cola genius underground somewhere. We don't know.
He's behind the lines.
What about Shasta?
Ah, Shasta.
Shasta fit in.
That's a California.
Is it? It was definitely around when I was a kid. I don't see it much
It was
anymore.
because it was
Red Shasta in Illinois too.
yeah. No, but the product. I mean, I think it was bottled. Was a of drink.
It's from Hayward,
Company
actually.
name is derived from Mount Shasta and Associated Spring, headquartered in Hayward, California.
Yeah. What about Ski? Do you guys know Ski Cola?
Sounds, no.
Breeze, Illinois.
SKI cola?
Yeah, SKI. Actually, the cola wasn't their famous one. Ski, like lemon lime drink, was their popular one.
That one I do not
And
know.
then the St. Louis area one was Vess.
Well, I will say something. As far as American cultural colonialism goes, I much rather talk about Star Wars. Just
But
saying.
you know, that's the whole thing. Is it if you welcome it, is it colonialism?
But the question is, are you really given a choice to welcome it?
I mean, it seems so. I mean, you don't have to
It
see
seems
it.
so. You're right. Yeah, that's exactly true. It seems so.
You sound like someone blaming, the
Commercialism
industry for
and
making
advertisement? Possibly. I mean,
Hold on, I need popcorn.
but like, I mean, talk about cultural imperialism. I mean, France and
Roger and
Britain were
Patrick
going
are
at
going to
it for
talk
like
cultural
200
imperialism. Very
years.
excited.
oh yeah. I'm not saying we didn't. It's just that now it's America's turn. And they're selling us Coke. I mean, you're selling us Coke.
Yes, and you will pay in cash.
I don't even like
I-
Coke.
You
Or
will
Pepsi.
watch our Marvel movie universe, all of it.
There you go. You're getting to the program now. You're getting with the program, Roger.
There's no resistance. Just accept it.
It is futile.
Buy me a Coke.
But that's the thing. Like, were they really adopting like whatever culture or like technology and culture that they absorbed the Borg? Because they all look the same. It's not like they absorbed the Klingons and suddenly they have their little like war chants or anything.
They never
Wait,
said
what are we talking
we will
about?
add your sense of style to our own. It was only biological and technological. So you had to make everybody look Borg-like.
I'm not sure what you were. How did we get to Star Trek?
Roger just said, wasn't it weird that the Borg always looked alike if they were really assimilating all these different cultures
And people and different technologies?
And I said, well, they're not assimilating the style, just the technology.
I want them to assimilate the 1800s, and then they go around in Borg ships shaped like steam trains. Choo choo.
You should make your steampunk Borg fanfic then.
I'm
Or-
Locutus.
Or you should make your steampunk Porg fanfic.
That sounds a little dirty.
What? No. You don't know what the Porgs are?
He hasn't seen them all.
Well, you don't have to
No,
see the
but I
movie
mean,
to know what a
I
Porg
thought-
is. Come on.
Yeah. I thought I was the one who didn't watch trailers.
I don't
Have you
want. I
seen the-
did watch it. I watched like 2, and that was it.
Okay, so you know the Porgs are the little creatures, the super cute little things that Chewbacca has on the the dashboard of the Millennium Falcon in the trailer.
New information.
There
We're
was
not doing
an
that.
article I read yesterday. I actually didn't read the article, but a headline that I read that was like something along the lines of like, yes, it's okay if your natural reaction is to eat a porg. Like, what? What the heck? Like, why are we introducing this? Like, no, that's not. Never once crossed my mind.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I would agree. It's not like they're cute. You don't eat cats.
It'd be like
Cats are
saying, like,
cute.
you want to
You don't
eat an
eat them.
Ewok? No.
Cats are
do
cute,
that.
and people eat venison. Or not
What
venison,
about
veal.
le mouton? The cute little lambs.
That's true.
Ah.
That's true.
The cuter the animal, the sweeter the meat?
And that's why people become vegetarians.
It's true.
Those darling little pig faces.
Ah, so much bacon in there. Mm-mm.
Fuzzy little cow face. Nothing cute about a chicken. Sorry. That's
Well,
I don't know.
even fish are cuter than chickens.
It's cute. Tom, remember how we were named after a chicken and a rooster, and they were pretty attractive.
were
True.
you named after a chicken and a rooster?
Well,
Or were a chicken and a rooster
vice
named after
versa,
you?
yes.
Right. Okay. That's
Correct.
Okay. That makes more
Context,
sense.
that's kind of weird. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody who listens to DTNS has chickens and named one Sarah and one Tom.
Yeah. That is going to make it super weird when he butchers them to eat them.
Chicken's super weird.
Yeah.
Tom, you're eating. Tom, the chicken. Ah, it's a sad but delicious day. And though his blood is my broth, I shall accept him as my own.
Oh my God. Okay. You took it too far.
Oh, guys.
I know. That's kind of gory there, Roger.
All right.
For sake.
Sorry, it was just a little bone broth humor.
Did you not eat lunch again? Is that what happened?
No, I had nothing but carbs though. I need meat.
Yeah.
Or protein.
All right.
Well, I will admit you are making me hungry a little bit.
Yeah, but it's also midnight for you, right? Shouldn't you not eat
Midnight
before you go to bed?
snack.
It's midnight 17.
Oh, all right. Stop the. Any final words for streaming audience?
Our final words are: we love all animals.
Yes.
They taste
In
good.
our plates.
Says the former pescatarian.
Former. I still roll my eyes whenever anyone says that, but I thought it would be good.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.